Welcome, my name is India Nielsen-Barfus, and I'm a program manager in the Utah Office of Outdoor Recreation. Thank you for joining us for today's Summit Speaker Series. We'll be hearing from World Trade Center Utah about their global business services and some of their grants. But briefly before that, I'm going to turn the time over to Dustin Cederholm to tell us about the Utah Outdoor Association. Dustin?
Thank you, India. I just want to say that the Utah Outdoor Association is proud to co-host the Summer Speaker Series, or the Summit Speaker Series, along with the Office of Recreation, SIA, and EDC Utah. Thank you. For those of you who may not know me or the Utah Outdoor Association, I wanted to share a little about UOA and what we do. As India said, my name is Dustin Cederholm. I'm the Executive Director for the Utah Outdoor Association, or UOA. The Utah Outdoor Association is a business association representing Utah's outdoor manufacturing and retail companies. We are an independent industry associated with a mission to guide the outdoor industry forward by fostering productive dialogue between organizations, providing an invaluable network of people and resources, and promoting the industry to the public. We know that our industry is segmented in many ways, whether that be human-powered, motorized, hook and bullet, or any of the other many ways we segment and define ourselves. That said, the Utah Outdoor Association believes we can all come to the same table under the premise that building strong businesses, a connected community, and enhancing the overall brand of Utah is good for us all. With that, we believe all outdoor brands will find a home with UOA. So that said, UOA operates 3 core missions. The first is shared learning, which includes programs like this speaker series, our newly launched podcast series. We have one for founders and one for startups, as well as other industry events and trade shows that help businesses engage with one another, their consumers and community, or some combination of them all. Number 2 is shared marketing and resources. UOA promotes our brands through our marketing lists, social networks, and many other activities UOA is involved in throughout the year. We often say just being part of the UOA network is one of the best benefits because it allows us to work for you by finding the resources and solutions you need within the larger network. We have been able to help companies find government contracts, receive grant money, and make connections that improve their business outlook. Lastly, workforce development and recruiting. UOA has developed an innovative program that brings together universities' career services teams with the industry's recruitment managers to help place Utah's top talent with our amazing brands. We promote open jobs and provide a pipeline of qualified talent. Additionally, we promote equity and diversity in our workplace through our purposeful planning and community interactions. If you have workforce needs, I encourage you to reach out. Of course, we offer member benefits and discounts to all our members through our partner agreements, much like any other association. If you would like to become a member of the Utah Outdoor Association, we have membership for industry members and partnership programs for outdoor service providers, nonprofits, outdoor support organizations, and student and faculty members. I encourage you to go to utahoutdoor.org. That's utahoutdoor.org and fill out the form to register. Most likely I or someone from UOA will contact you to talk about specific programs UOA has to help you decide if membership or partnership is right for you. So that is a little bit about UOA. I hope everyone enjoys today's presentation. Thank you, India and the Office of Recreation team. I turn it back to you.
Great, thank you so much for that information. We appreciate it. I did put a link to the UOA website in the chat if you want to learn more about that. And like I said earlier, you can always reach out to outdoorteam@utah.gov if you have questions or you want us to put you in touch with anyone like Dustin. We would be happy to do that. With that, today, I'm pleased to turn the time over to World Trade Center Utah. We have Nicole Sherwood and Aaron Starks here with us, and I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to them. Thank you.
Thank you, India, and thank you to our partners there at the Governor's Office of Economic Development. We have a great state. We live in a very collaborative space, and truly the secret sauce here in Utah is that we collaborate to help industries of all kinds. As mentioned, my name is Aaron Starks. I'm joined by my colleague, Nicole Sherwood. Together, we help businesses just like those on this call go global, and it's a very exciting opportunity for us. I also want to point out another colleague on the call right now, Courtney Ray, who oversees business development for the organization. She will be your direct line of contact should you reach out with interest. Let me go ahead and share my screen so we can get started here. Bear with me for 1 second. Okay. Hopefully you can see my screen. World Trade Center Utah has about a 15-year history here in the state. We are not a government organization. The state of Utah invests in us because it knows that we are the only organization of our kind, a private organization, dedicated to accelerating growth for Utah companies. What's interesting about World Trade Center is that we are one member of an association of over 300 around the world. So our footprint is quite large. Then Governor Huntsman said, with the diversifying economy, we need a voice who can advocate for businesses domestically and abroad as Utah grows. So he brought World Trade Center to the state of Utah. We're kind of unique in that we're not affiliated, or I should say limited to one particular city. We actually have the rights to represent the entire state of Utah, which is different than most World Trade Centers around the world. Over our history, we've been able to do some really fantastic things for companies. We have a governor-led trade mission, for example, where we are able to take the state seal of Utah along with the governor and go to a foreign market. And because of the political capital and influence that the governor has along with the state of Utah, get businesses into the room where it happens with buyers, investors, and partners. It's a great matchmaking effort that we provide. We'll take a cohort of companies along with the governor to a foreign market abroad and help them land a deal. Very exciting. In addition, we've been able to do trade shows, matchmaking, some training along the way, international investment. But grants is a big piece of what we do. And to discuss more and tell us a little bit more about our grant efforts, Nicole Sherwood is on the line. Nicole, I'll hand it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Aaron, and thank you for having us today. What I want to go over really is what we call our STEP grant, and it helps small businesses that want to go international, and it can help small businesses that want to participate in any of these activities that Aaron mentioned. The STEP grant can help cover 3 different areas. The first one is international trade shows. So previously and in the future, we have attended Outdoor by ISPO as well as ISPO Munich, and we're looking forward to doing that in 2022. So a STEP grant can be used to participate in that as well as be part of our booth. The second area where small businesses can use a STEP grant is for, as Aaron mentioned, on our governor-led trade missions. We actually have one coming up in October to Mexico, as well as a virtual trade mission on April 21st. So please join us for those. And if you're interested in Mexico as an outdoor company, please reach out to me, as that's the second area where a STEP grant can be used. And the third area is more flexible. It's our financial assistance awards, where you can use a STEP grant for any international research, as well as if you're looking for design of marketing media. We've had various companies use it to do international videos, as well as to get into international magazines, or if you're optimizing your website to go into an international market. So there is funding available. The application is still open. So if you go to our website, wtcutah.com, under grant, STEP grant, there's more information, or feel free to reach out to me to apply for a grant. There's still funding available, so please apply sooner than later. Thanks, Aaron. I'll take it back to you.
Thanks, Nicole. Grants are such a big piece of what we do as a company looks to export its brand, so to speak. There's a lot of costs that you'll incur in the process of doing that. Grants help you offset those costs and make the investment a little more palatable. So we hope that you'll take care of these wonderful resources. We have a great partnership with the Small Business Administration here in Utah, which has enabled us to offer many of our grant programs, as well as relationships with private sector companies who have given back to us so we can pass through that money to companies just like yours. So with that being said, I want you to think about how diverse our economy is. Here in the state of Utah, we have every industry in the world represented, which is very flattering for us as a state. Lowest unemployment, best well managed. We're an attraction to the world around. Now, for our team, that's been a little bit of a complexity, because how do you develop a process or a service that is industry agnostic and can help any company at any stage in their development? That's why we created a new division within World Trade Center called Global Business Services. We've taken a very comprehensive approach to helping SaaS companies, manufacturing companies, life sciences companies, and outdoor recreation companies. We're very excited about this. Prior to joining World Trade Center Utah, I spent 10 years with Franklin Covey, a local company with international ties. And while there, was able to work with the team where we took Franklin Covey to 22 markets in Asia. And so using some of that experience and some of the resources that we have in the state, our team has come together and created a 3-step process to help any company in any industry here in the state. So phase 1 on your screen is what you're seeing. We call that pathfinding. This stage is dedicated to helping a company make an informed and a confident decision regarding their global strategy. I can't tell you how often, and Utah is full of these great companies who come to us and they say, I'm doing 5 million or I'm doing 30 million in revenue. I've developed a great brand. We have a great e-commerce play. We're doing great things. And now I want to jump to Thailand. And I will say, well, fantastic. Congratulations on growing your company. Why Thailand? And they say, well, because I served a mission there. I say, okay, let's wait. Let's take that back a few steps. You're doing great things, but going to Thailand requires a lot more than just previous experience. We want you to make an experience based on data and an analysis. So we actually work with your company to conduct this pathfinding phase. Phase 1 or step 1 is all about assessing your company. It's a 360-degree view of your strengths, of your weaknesses. We want to get clear on your capabilities. How prepared are you to enter in the market? Are there existing language competencies that exist? Have you already been fulfilling orders from international buyers? If so, what does that look like? Do you have a team dedicated to an international investment? Once we get clear on that, we understand who you are and what you're trying to accomplish and a little bit more about your product, then we can move to step 2, which is what we're calling personifying here, but it's really helping you develop a thorough buyer persona. We want to understand what's made you so successful in your own backyard here. Is it your brand? Is it the quality of your product? Is it your customer service? We want to know these things because ultimately we want to know why a consumer in a foreign market would choose your brand over competitors. That's really, really important, because if we can understand that, then we'll know how to position your brand to foreign buyers. So with an assessment in place along with your buyer persona, we now have enough information to start delivering some comprehensive market research. This third step down to the bottom left of your screen is what we're calling Explore. It's a macro market research approach to helping you. So we take our information about your industry, company, and product, and we look at 3 key indices: market potential, political stability, and ease of doing business. Included within those 3 indices are the compliance technicalities, the challenges with freight forwarding, logistics. We want to know basically what the regulatory environment looks like in a foreign market for you before you make any decisions. So we scour the earth looking for information in these 3 areas that align well with your company and its focus. And we come up with a list based on weighted averages of 5 countries you could go to. It's kind of a proprietary algorithm that we've developed, but we're going to give you a list of 5 countries. Then we sit down with you and we say, look, Germany, Japan, Australia, Italy, and Venezuela. This is our list of 5. We feel really good about it for the following reasons. Now, let's sit down as partners and go through and pick 2 of these 5 markets. So we might ask ourselves questions like, have you previously fulfilled orders in Venezuela or Japan or Germany? If the answer is yes, then you already have a little bit of an understanding of what it's going to take to move your brand into that market through a distributorship or through a greenfield investment, whatever that looks like. So for conversational purposes, let's say we choose Japan and Germany. Now we're set to move to step 4, which is what we call focus. We deliver a second market research report, which is very granular and specific to these 2 countries, Japan and Germany. Okay, we're going to get really clear on the investment, the overall investment into Japan or Germany, what that looks like. We provide a recommendation as to whether or not we feel like you should locate a distributor or if you should go direct. Then we tell you what services you'll need. So for you to go to Japan, we know that you're going to need to translate and localize your content, develop a website that you need to set up or enhance your e-commerce and digital marketing efforts. You might need a really good freight forwarder or a logistics provider to help get your product from St. George, Utah to Tokyo, Japan. At the end of this process, you're walking away with a global strategy. You know what markets you're targeting, what it's going to take to get into those markets, how much it will cost. When with those 3 key pieces of data, then you'll know what your break-even value will look like, and that will also inform your risk tolerance. And so we currently, just in 6 months, have launched this new service to the state of Utah. We have 40 companies under contract doing this, and the beauty behind this process is that a lot of companies won't do anything, and that may sound a little bit strange, but if we can take a company and say, look, we're going to do the due diligence, we're going to go through and do pathfinding with you, and at the end of that process, if you decide to do nothing, it was much better than you spending $5,000 on airfare, hotels, transportation, in country, and everything else to go and find out that it wasn't a good decision. Or even worse, go and spend that $5,000 and enter into a relationship with a distributor that you know nothing about in a market that was unprepared, and now you're contractually obligated to do business in a country that just isn't a fit. We want to prevent that, hedge as much risk as possible. So this pathfinding process allows us to do that. And again, we're starting to move companies through this process and with extraordinary results. A lot of them have given us great feedback. One recent company we worked with said, "I'm so glad that I engaged because the clouds of exporting are finally starting to move before my eyes." I thought that was an interesting way to put it. So we want to be your partner in helping you choose your global strategy. And once we've been able to do that, then we start with phase 2, which we're calling launch. Now, you know what markets you're going to, but now you need to go out and get the services you need to be successful in those markets. This can be challenging. And prior to the formation of Global Business Services, a company was left to go out and find a translation provider or a global logistics provider or somebody to do the due diligence and make sure that their tax, accounting, and legal work was all compliant. What we've been able to do is locate vetted professionals in the state with a history of helping companies go international, put them under contract with us, and represent us in helping you. That's a big value add. So we act as the general contractor in this phase. And so after you have your global strategy set, then we say, great, now we're going to bring in our service providers. We're going to take care of you and ensure that over a 3 or a 5 month or a finite period, you're going to receive these services that you need before we begin phase 3, which is landing. And that's where the rubber meets the road. We go to a foreign market with you, and it could look like any one of these things. It could be a trade mission. At the end of that pathfinding process, we might realize that, hey, Mexico is your top country. You've selected that. You have the services already taken care of. You're ready to go. And coincidentally, we have a trade mission plan this year to Mexico. So let's align you with that opportunity, bring you with the governor to Mexico. And prior to that, make sure that we do some great matchmaking. So if you're looking for a distributorship in Mexico, then we're going to make sure that we set you up with 2 or 3 meetings with candidate distributors to represent your brand in Mexico. Or it could be just basic matchmaking. You might realize that Mexico is a great opportunity, but you don't have interest for whatever reason in going to participating on the trade mission, which, by the way, if you do, you can apply for a grant to have some of those travel costs paid. I'll just throw a plug in there for Nicole. But if you realize that I just would like some matchmaking, I'd like to speak with some other players in the industry in Mexico, I'd like to talk to other businesses who compete in a similar space, we're happy to lean on our domestic and international network to line up some meetings so you can virtually connect with people who can help you. Trade shows are another big component. We do a lot of trade shows every year. The Governor's Office of Economic Development partners on trade shows with us, we're able to help facilitate the organization of a booth, of the trade show logistics, and coordinate the overall effort so you can participate, position your product to thousands of people within the arena, excuse me. And if you've been to these trade shows, you'll know that it is just a madhouse for 3 or 4 straight days. There are hundreds of thousands of people from all around the world coming to learn about your brand. It's a great way to position yourself. And lastly, and personally my favorite, we might just say, you know, Dubai is your market. We don't have any trade missions coming up to Dubai. There's not a trade show. Let's just jump on a plane. We'll set up the agenda. We'll line up the meetings. We'll fly out with you to Dubai, and let's go get a deal done. Let's go find a distributor. Let's go bring in some investment if that's what you need to do. Let's go and make this happen. And so we feel very good about this 3-phased approach we've developed. You know, phases 1, 2, and 3, getting you to, you know, from an assessment, the buyer persona, your marketing research. Now you're equipped with services, and now we're going out and executing your plan with phase 3. And there's really 2 ways that we engage with companies. A lot of them are engaging in single phase increments with us. So as I said before, we've got about 40 companies under contract with us doing pathfinding, putting together their global strategy through market research. Some have already come to us and said, I already have my market research. I just need good service providers. Well, we can bring in our partners to help there. And we do have some phase 3 deals that we're trying to help with different companies who've come to us and said, hey, I kind of know where I want to go at this point. I feel prepared to do so. I just need to find the right people in that country. We're able to engage. So a company can engage at any one of those 3 phases, or they might just come to us and say, look, I'm doing about 5 million in revenue. I know that I need to go global. I don't frankly know how to do it, and I'm not prepared to remove my team, which is already strapped for time, to focus on this. So can we just hire you as our in-house international counsel? And the answer is yes. Much like you would hire an attorney to be your in-house legal counsel, you can hire us on contract to be your international counsel, and we'll just run your international operations. Again, using phases 1 through 3 as kind of our guiding process there. So we've been able to engage with companies in both phases. We're really excited about this product offering. We think it's going to revolutionize the way that businesses engage with global audiences. And so, with that being said, I just want to wrap up and say we have some great case studies. We've been able to help Caddis Enterprises. We've helped with Maloof, a $1 billion organization out of Cache Valley. We help with bigger brands like doTERRA and Nu Skin. We have great partners who have made this possible: Larry H. Miller, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Beauty Industry Group, Walker Edison. Our network it's one of our greatest competitive advantages, is that in the state of Utah, we have great partners who can provide mentoring to smaller businesses, but abroad as well. We have great embassy relationships and private sector partnerships that help us develop and grow your business. So I'd like to open it up for questions and really create a good dialogue around this. But just by way of reminder, I'm Aaron Starks. You're welcome to reach out to me or Courtney Ray on this call. Courtney will likely follow up with you, and we'd like to just schedule a time, engage with your company, learn about what you're doing, and even if you're not quite ready right now, let's still engage. That way, when you are ready, it's a seamless transition. We can plug in and provide support. So, thank you very much, India. I'll turn it back over to you.
Terrific. Thank you so much. That was very informative, and it's great to learn about. Anyone is welcome to add questions into the chat. I actually have a couple of my own, so if you don't mind, I'll ask some questions that kind of came up as you were presenting. First of all, I have to say congratulations on this program. You know, it sounds like it's been very successful. You launched a few months ago, and you've got more than 40 companies on board. You mentioned a few of them, and definitely all brands and companies that I've heard of. So it sounds like it's been very successful. Congratulations on that. Couple things I'm wondering. First of all, it's sort of, logistics. what does a business need to commit in order to do any of these phases? And that can include price and time. I know you mentioned that you do have some of those more kind of like in-house services, but what does the commitment look like, especially with that ability to hop on and hop off during the different phases?
Yeah, thank you. Great question. I would say that there are two things that a company needs. One is interest. Hopefully every company is thinking about international at one point. It would almost be to your detriment not to consider the implications of international growth. 95% of consumers around the world live outside of the United States. There are over 3.5 billion people in Asia alone. And so the world is a big place. Technology has made it much smaller. It's easier to convene with your audiences. So we hope that there is some deep commitment to going international. Two, the second component of this, getting more to your question, India, is we've taken a look as we've developed pricing for these services. We've taken a look at two things. One, if you were to pay an attorney or a private sector provider to conduct good in-house market research, it might take them 15 or 20 hours at as much as $500 an hour. You could be at $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 to just get through phase one of pathfinding that I outlined. Because the state of Utah invests in us, we're able to offset our prices, subsidize our costs so that you as a small business can afford to engage with us right away. So just for that initial engagement to do phase one pathfinding, to develop your global strategy, the consultation, the buyer persona formation, and then your macro market research reports, that's only $2,500. So it's for and we did that intentionally because we do not want prices to be a barrier to engaging with us. So we've lowered that entirely. $2,500 engagement. That's about, we've been able to complete the process in as little as 12 hours on our side, and that includes the engagement with you, the market research on our side, and then the actual presentation of the results. So we feel very good about that. Lastly, I'll just say this, and I don't mean to be long-winded, but there's a little bit of consumer psychology tied up in this. We never, charging for our prices, monetizing our services is a new concept for World Trade Center Utah. What we found is that with things that we previously were able to offer, companies seem to lack interest in. We would say, hey, we can provide a service or a product, or we can put together a package for you free of charge. And a lot of the companies would say, well, no, we don't really want to do that, either A, because we think you're a government organization, which we're not, or B, because if you're not charging for it, it means that there must not be a whole lot of quality to what you're offering. So the consumer psychology is interesting. As soon as we said, hey, there's now a price tag associated with what we have to offer, companies have said, yes, then I'm really interested in doing that. I find that very interesting. But again, we've had some very good results helping small businesses here in the state, and we hope to help those on this call.
Great. Thank you so much. That was helpful. Something else I'm wondering, and you kind of just touched on it briefly in your last answer, but about how long does each phase take, or is that just super individualized to the company?
So if a company said, hey, we would like to begin pathfinding right now, we would send them an assessment link. It's all online. They'd fill out the assessment. We would schedule a meeting to go over that assessment. And then we would have them start working on the buyer persona, which is all online as well. We'd send them a link to begin that process. From beginning to end, we're looking at about 10 to 11 hours. We're starting to standardize and get better at this. The more and more we do, we're also making some key hires, which alleviates some of the time and bandwidth constraints that we have as a small team. So I would say it's about a 10 to 11 hour engagement, but not on the consumer side, not on the company side, on our side. You can expect as a business to only have to put in about 3 hours total, maybe 4 hours, in working with us throughout this process. Our team on the back end will do a lot of this for you. Now, that's for the pathfinding piece. But if a company said, we would really like to just hire you on retainer each month, what does that look like? Well, that will depend on the time requirements. There are different implications to a partnership like that. So we would work together with them. But again, the state invests in us. Pricing is we're not looking to grow an empire here. We're looking to help businesses succeed because that's what our mission is as a nonprofit. So rather than go spend $150,000 on an MBA who won't have the network or the experience internationally, pay us a fraction of the cost, pay us on a monthly retainer, and we'll do all of it for you.
Thank you. And I've got another question of my own that I'll get to in a minute, but a question just came into the chat from Mel DC. Can you also assist on importation, logistics, and regulations on sustainable products from Asia?
Absolutely, we can. And part of the beauty behind our process is that in phase 2, we have great service providers who we plug in who can help. So with importing in particular, we know that more often than not, companies are going to need an import license. And depending on the product that they're importing, they might need a certification on top of that. And they will have to pay an excise tax. Sometimes navigating those hurdles can be a bit of a challenge, but we can plug in our attorney who just within an hour can tell you everything that you need to go, and that's completely free. That's just an initial consultation right there, just to tell you what you need. Beyond that, if you need a freight forwarder or a logistics provider, then we can again bring in one of our service providers free of charge to provide a consultation to tell you exactly what you need, how much it will cost, and so forth.
Thank you. And thank you, Mel, for putting that into the chat. I'm going to go ahead and get to my last question, but if anybody else has questions, please feel free to add them. So I'm just kind of wondering about the background of Global Business Services. What was there that made you realize there's this need in the business community to provide what you're providing? That you've touched on that a little bit, but I'm curious about the story behind that.
Well, I was hired as employee number 3 at Franklin Covey. And at the time, Franklin Covey had, as we all know, developed this great suite of offerings, content, training programs. They were a training company. In fact, they're one of the largest training companies in the world, primarily focused on large enterprises, businesses of all shapes and sizes. They said, Aaron, we would like to take all of this existing content and all of this great experience we've developed, and we'd like to open a new vertical in the company focused on consumers and governments and schools. And so it's kind of a consumer education division. And so we need to figure out how to do that. So I went to work, and Google was my best friend for the first year and a half. And it was all about just being scrappy and entrepreneurial. How do I locate buyers? How do I break into a market? What do I need to know about this market? So shortly after joining, I rolled up my sleeve, got to work, and about 4 months later, I found myself in Hanoi, Vietnam, with a distributor, and we landed a partnership. We signed a contract there. They became our exclusive partner for Vietnam, and we thought, man, this is great. I mean, we've tied down Vietnam. Let's go to Hong Kong now. And again, being very scrappy, getting what consumer reports I could. And training's a bit unique. It's not a consumer package good. It's not aerospace and defense. Training is a little bit different. And so finding what data I could, we located another buyer in Hong Kong. And after about 3 or 4 of those over the first year and a half, they said, well, Aaron, how about you just jump over to Tokyo, and we open a brick and mortar Asia headquarters office. And so my family, we uprooted and we moved to Tokyo for 4 years, and we started the business, and over about 8 years, we grew the company in Japan and as well as throughout Asia to about 23 countries. When I came back from that experience, I engaged with World Trade Center Utah. Miles Hansen is a friend of mine who I now work for. He's an excellent CEO. As we were discussing things, he said, we need to be the one-stop shop here at World Trade Center to prevent companies from experiencing what you did. And I said, absolutely. Because had I known that World Trade Center existed, and at the time we didn't have these services packaged in the way we do now. They aren't quite as simple and comprehensive, but they still had resources that would have saved a lot of time and money for Franklin Covey. And so taking some of my experience, the leadership of Miles and our team, we've been able to put together what we feel is a pretty good offering. It's not perfect, but I tell you what, it's better than a company can do on their own, and we feel good about that. So that's what we want to do is remove the complexity and help companies execute their global plans and strategies.
Thank you so much. I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat, so I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. If anyone has anything to add in, feel free to. Otherwise, I did promise I would draw the name of somebody who asked a question to win a prize. I've got one posted in here right now, so I think we know who it was. But Mel, if you don't mind staying on the call for just a few minutes after we stop the recording, that'd be great, and I'll touch base with you. Aaron, I'll go ahead and turn it back to you just for some wrap-up remarks, and I'd like to thank you again for being here.
Thank you, India, and thank you to those on your team at the Governor's Office of Economic Development. This is a tremendous opportunity. We hope to engage. I can't think of an industry more exciting than the outdoor recreation industry. For obvious reasons, we live in the great state of Utah, and we all love that. So again, I just would extend an invitation to all of you to engage with us, even if you're not sure about a global strategy right now. Even if you're just trying to build a brand domestically, allow us to plug in and help. Let us be key partners with you here in the state. And if you're not quite at that phase or that stage to make an investment in international business, we might be able to help you get in contact with some of our partners who can help you grow domestically. Again, we want to be good players here in the state, because the common denominator amongst all businesses here and the culture that we've created is that we help each other. Your success is our success, and we live and abide by that. So again, India and team, thank you so much. We look forward to engaging with companies down the road.
Thank you, Aaron, and thank you, Nicole and Dustin, as well, for the information that you offered up. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in today. I am going to be sending this information, everything that was mentioned, out to the folks who are registered, including links and helpful things like that. So if you have any questions, feel free to respond to that once I send it out. And with that, thank you so much for all being here with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.